Welcome to Mentoring Moments. Mentoring Moments is a sub-series of the eCommerce Edge podcast. It is composed of clips taken from Jason's one-to-one and group mentorship sessions. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the eCommerce Edge podcast with me, Jason Greenwood, your host. It is my pleasure to welcome our incredible next guest, Mr. Andriy from Flowium. Welcome, Andriy.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me here today.
My pleasure to have you along for the ride with me today. And we were talking about you're based in New York, and you said it's only about 55 Fahrenheit today, despite the fact that
Yeah.
we're heading smack into summer. So it definitely stays a bit colder, a bit longer in New York.
Yeah, it's already middle of June and it's still cold here. I consider cold.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky here in Puebla City. We get pretty good weather. It's like weather here is very much like San Diego. I'm from Southern California, and this weather here reminds me so much of San Diego. We live at about 4,000 meters of elevation here in Puebla, so we don't get the extreme heat, we don't get the extreme cold, and we don't get the extreme humidity that some of the coastal cities get, especially during summertime. Coastal Mexico is just brutal. It's like a muggy furnace for 6 months of the year, and we just don't get that. It's very temperate here. Sits between sort of 15 and 35 C year round, so it's very temperate climate here in Puebla. We're
You
very
said
lucky.
4,000 meters, so like
Yeah,
4 kilometers. Did you have to, when you moved there, did you have like altitude sickness or do you have to acclimate there? Or
it definitely took a little bit of time to get used to it. We're at about the same elevation as Mexico City. We're on the Great Central Plateau of Mexico, and we're basically in the mountains. But we have much higher mountain ranges around us. We're surrounded by volcanoes, so there's plenty of mountains around here. If I walk out onto my terrace, I can see Popocatépetl, the friendly name. It's called Popo here, and it's actually an active volcano, so I can see it
oh
smoking
wow.
most days. But yeah, no, it's an exciting place to live, and I love the weather here. I love the culture here. I love the food. So it's a great place to live. And you said you've been living in New York for over 20 years, so this is it inside out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 38 now, so like majority of my life I live in New York, yes.
And you said you
Actually
lived in three
in
of the
in
five
US.
boroughs of New York. So
Yeah,
you don't just know one
Brooklyn,
part of New York, you know it very well.
yeah, Brooklyn, Queens, and now Staten Island.
Wow, very nice, very nice. I'm going to be going to New York for my very first time. I've never been to New York before. I've been to other East Coast cities, but I haven't been to New York before. But I'm going there later this year in September for a conference. So I'll be going for the very first time. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. And my wife, who's from New Zealand, we actually got married in New Zealand when I was still living there. And she's never been to New York either. So I'm going to bring her along as well, and she'll be able to check
Nice.
out the place while I'm at the conference. So looking forward to
Nice.
seeing what all the buzz about New York is all about. Listen, I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today. Now, you are the founder of Flowium, and you guys are a dedicated email marketing agency specifically for e-commerce. So you don't just do generalized e-commerce email marketing, you do specifically for e-commerce.
Correct.
But how did you get to be in this space of e-commerce? You've been doing this for 8.5 years now at Flowium. But before that, you've been involved in lots of different things, almost all related to digital, almost all related to digital marketing. But you've also been a digital project manager, and you've done a lot of things in digital. So how did you get into the space of digital to begin with?
No, I work in the corporate America as a engineer, but actually not digital engineer. It was telecommunications, security, and audio visual. So we were designing for commercial building for skyscrapers. One of our project was Freedom Tower, which was now built instead of Twin Towers, which were destroyed. Um, so I worked there for 8 years. And on the side, as a side hustle, I had my own website where I was building for Ukrainian immigrants and helping them how to assimilate here in US, how to open their first credit card and so forth. And to be able to promote it and to be able to talk to each visitors on the right stage of their immigrant journey I found the email marketing is the right tool for me, because if I ask them the right questions, if they provide me the answers, I know how to funnel them. If they just arrived to the US or they've been here for 6 months or so for, or they just planning. And I have those three kind of website personas. And so I use email marketing for that. And after 8 years of working in corporate America, I decided to quit. I quitted the job and didn't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, let me start freelancing. Let me try something new. And I started, of course, freelancing on Upwork. Everything is digital. And at that moment, I offer variety of services from helping fixing websites, building some basic Facebook campaign ads. And quickly I realized that email marketing is something where not much competition, and it was at that moment very high demand. So I started offering email marketing services to all kind of businesses, not only e-commerce. So like dentists, podcasts, like construction businesses, e-commerce. But I quickly realized after doing a few projects on e-commerce space how easy it is to show the value of email marketing, because you send few emails, you set up few automations, and it's easy to see the conversion versus when you're working with a lawyer, it takes maybe 6 months to see one conversion. When you're selling bottles on a website, it's like you send the email, you saw 5 sales or you saw 150 sales, and it's easy for the customer to pay you money because they see the immediate kind of return on investment.
Yeah, and look, you've obviously been doing this for a long time, but it feels like the market for email marketers as well as platform standardization, it feels like Klaviyo's not entirely, but certainly from a marketing automation perspective, an extremely popular platform. Probably not as popular since they've jacked up their prices pretty substantially over the last couple of years, but and obviously planning to go public, etc. But it feels like there's been a lot of standardization in our industry around certain tech stacks that are orientated more towards e-commerce than other generalized email marketing platforms, for example. And are you finding that the space has gotten more competitive, more challenging, more demanding over the last few years as more and more people have flooded into the space? And then, of course, Klaviyo famously announced, I think it was about 6 or 8 months ago, that they were going to start offering managed services alongside and in competition with their email marketing agencies that use their platform and work with their platforms. The last 8.5 years has seen a dramatic amount of change in our space. And then, of course, we've got AI and a lot of platforms and a lot of brands trying to automate a lot of what they do via AI. How have you seen the email marketing industry evolve in the time that you've been in it?
Sure. The first thing I would like to say, it become harder from technical perspective to do email marketing. In the past, the barrier to entry, like for either brand or newbie freelancer or newbie agency owner to do email marketing was so easy. You just like you get HubSpot or Klaviyo, watch few YouTube tutorials, and you're a professional. You can call yourself professional and expert how to do it. Now with all the Yahoo, Gmail, AOL, the stricter requirements, all the spam filters, was everything was going on in the industry with the AI, it became harder and harder to get into people's inboxes. And not because Google doesn't want your email to go inboxes, but they become stricter. Now they are more demanding from technical perspective how your email should look like, not visually, but I mean from what kind of records it should have for you to, from technical perspective, to say I'm legit brand and I'm sending this to this legit person who did indeed sign up for my newsletter. So this is the big shift. So right now, a lot of brands are suffering, and this is the number one problem why people are reaching out to us and other companies here in the industry, because their deliverability like is bad and going worse and worse. 2 weeks ago, I was doing an audit myself. It's a very famous brand, and they had over 3 million email subscribers, and their open rate is lower than 20%, which the average industry right now with Apple privacy thing is like minimum 50%. So they have a very big problem with their deliverability. And the biggest problem we discovered they have with Gmail. All other inbox providers were fine. So this is like number one. In terms of competitors, yes, there's many more companies, freelancers who start offering email marketing services. So of course there's more competition, and sometimes we are losing to that competition some clients. But what we notice, if you've been on the market for a very long time and you're planning to stay longer, in most cases those clients come back a few months later still to us, because those newbie freelancer or newbie agency owners, they think they know what they're doing, but they are missing a lot of like fundamentals of email marketing, and they kind of failing and damaging accounts.
And when you do and perform your audits on client accounts or prospect accounts, what are some of the most common issues from a technical perspective? Is it that they don't have a dedicated sending IP? Is it that they don't have a dedicated sending domain? Is it that their SPKF records aren't right? Is it that what are like the most common things that you just see over and over again that brands just consistently get wrong, or they consistently ignore, or they consistently just don't know any better? And it's like almost this low hanging fruit that is just constantly and consistently wrong on these accounts that just it's kind of almost email marketing 101. You need, okay, here's a 5 item checklist that if you don't get this right, you're pretty much not going to be able to get into the inboxes.
Sure. So everything that you mentioned, typically it's all accounts are in good shape. So almost everybody has that set up, because tools like Klaviyo are always promoting to and provide tutorials how to do it. Where a lot of brands and majority of the brands are missing, it's segmentation, but not segmentation. Oh, this is one-time buyers, this is two-time buyers. Not that kind of segmentation, but exclusion segmentation. What segment to exclude from my campaigns, like spam traps, people who stop engaging with your emails, like those people who should not receive your emails. So this is number one, like exclusion segmentation. Number two, clean up their list, constantly going either set up an automation to clean up that list, or manually do it on monthly basis, on quarterly basis, depends on your schedule, but you need to go and clean those lists. Also, we see a lot of bots attack, especially if you are Shopify user. Oh, sorry, if you have if your e-commerce platform is Shopify right now, the common industry issue on the market, all Shopify accounts are under bots attack, who go into your checkout page, they start in checkout, which triggering the email abandonment cart sequence, and basically you're sending emails to the bots, which hurts your deliverability. And it's like almost any accounts, but some accounts have maybe 5 bots in their account, and other 500,000 bots. Last week we published a video how to identify those bots and how to clean them, that segmentation. So it's completely free if you go to our YouTube channel, Flowium, and look for Shopify bots, how to remove them. But
Wow.
this is right now, it's one of the biggest issues, and nobody knows how to solve it at this moment, except the cleaning.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible. And when you do these audits, are most brands running some sort of welcome flow? Are they running some sort of abandoned cart flow? Are they running the typical flows that you would expect to be in place for e-commerce? Are they running the right order confirmation flows? Because
Yeah,
oftentimes, unless you are running Shopify Plus, it's very difficult to turn off the out of the box transactional emails with Shopify and get those migrated over to Klaviyo. On Shopify Plus, you've got a lot more control over the transactional emails that Shopify sends versus the ones that are sent by Klaviyo. Are you also seeing a scenario where there's this battle between who wants to own the email sends, the transactional email sends? Because oftentimes what we found, and when I was working inside of brands, what we found was transactional emails were often a very important part of all of the emails that we
I
sent.
agree.
We almost looked at them as campaigns, not that we were necessarily trying to market through transactional emails, but There were certain things that you could put in transactional emails to help the customer feel happier, more confident about your brand, happier with buying from your brand, happier with engaging with your brand. And we oftentimes found that they were actually a significant source of revenue. Plus, what we also found was if we were sending the majority or all of our transactional emails via Klaviyo, it made it easier for us to get the full picture of the customer performance, and
Mhm.
it made it easier for us to be able to suppress certain emails, given the amount of emails a customer may have received in a week. When we look at both the transactional and the campaign emails, it just made it so much easier for us to do email performance analytics when almost all emails were run through Klaviyo or whatever your chosen marketing automation platform is. And is this something that you find that you oftentimes have to educate your customers on trying to get as many of your emails into the Klaviyo platform as possible?
No, not really about transactional. Transactional, it's very self-explanatory to them, and they do understand the value of keeping everything under one roof. And as you said, Klaviyo is better to, first of all, to build those emails with a drag and drop, also with a to add segmentations if needed. Second, you can see any additional conversion for that emails and analytics. So not much selling. I agree with you. It's like it's easier for Shopify Plus to migrate the transactional emails to Klaviyo. On the simple Shopify, on the basic Shopify, I believe the only order confirmation you are not allowed to turn off. All other transactional emails you still can run through Klaviyo. In going back to the original question about auditing, we see like more and more clients are getting better with the automations. So I'll say everybody have the fundamental flows: welcome, abandoned cart, browser abandonment, post purchase. It's not fully developed. Almost all accounts that we check, it's typically they have one, maximum to three emails per each flow. And it's probably that account is in better standing. Typically, it's just one email in each flow, and that's it. And it's low hanging fruit to add a few more emails for abandoned cart, post-purchase, welcome, and strategically, not just to add to have more emails in it, but like to with a certain strategy.
And are you finding that it's harder to maintain an account, meaning that you come in, you tidy up all this low-hanging fruit, you get, from a technical perspective, get the account set up correctly, get all the flows set up correctly, you do a lot of testing, maybe split testing, A/B testing, etc. And then you find once you get almost like the all the hygiene factors of an account, when you get the hygiene factors all tidy up, ready to go, that these brands oftentimes kind of want to take back over their account. They kind of want to they want to do all the creative themselves, etc. Or you guys do you guys pitch yourselves as this holistic email partner whereby, okay, cool, we're going to come in, we're going to understand what products you're promoting, what new products you have, kind of understand your catalog, start to understand the performance of customers with regards to email, the average number of cart items that they typically buy, their AOV, their gender, all these different factors and facets of a customer's behavior, and then being able to effectively add profile properties inside Klaviyo over time. The longer a customer is a customer of yours, sometimes the both the zero and the first party data, you're collecting hopefully more of that over time. And so therefore you can enrich an account with many more profile properties over time that make it easier to segment better and target content better. Because I know, like for myself, if I've been a customer of many websites for a very long time. They should know me very well, and yet it still feels like my emails don't get segmented very often. And for example, I'll receive an email with a promotional product that's a female targeted product, and I've never bought a women's focused product from them before. I've always bought men's focused products from them before. So it feels almost like very simple things that are still, a lot of brands still do batch and blast, or at least that's how it seems as a recipient. But it doesn't feel like it's very targeted or personalized to me. So, what is your sense on the level of segmentation that most brands are doing today? And then, secondarily, are you finding that a lot of brands, once the hygiene factors are taken care of, they try to go it on their own and then eventually they come back to you because they're like, actually, we need ongoing help here because we're not doing a very good job of this?
So in the last 8 years, I saw everything, and what you just said, they took it on their own. Sometimes they took on their own, and there's one brand which came back to us 4 times, and now for the last 2 years, like working with us. They try to hire another agencies. They try to do it themselves and they went through even acquisitions, but after each time they always came back to us. Each project we do typically starts with a, as you said, like cleanup. So we do all low hanging fruit, cleaning the like bots and all of that. Then the second step, we setting up all fundamental automations that we described: post-purchase win-back, sunset flow, abandonment cart, and so forth. After that thing is done, we're moving to the next stage where what we call it the technology flows. Let's say if they have reviews, if they have a loyalty program, if they have any other program, we're trying to build email marketing around those mini products. And then we move to the next stage, defining what is the goal of this brand for this quarter or the next year. They want to increase their retention, or they want to increase their third time purchasers, or they want to increase average order value. So it depends on each brand, but if we know their goal, it's easier for us to develop the strategy. Um, in the past, more clients, because we were working with the smaller brands, in the past they were working with us for a year or so, and they decided to like take it internally. But since like in the last maybe 3-4 years, we work with bigger brands. One of our brands like True Classics, Dr. Squatch, and those brands have sometimes over 100 different automations and over 100 different segments. So it become harder and harder to have internal team who will be responsible for that. Unless they need to build like entire team who will be managing that. It's easier to give it to agency who can easily scale in case if they need more workload, if they have more workload, or like decrease if they have less workload. Lately, clients stick with us and don't get internally.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like that's the direction that most agencies, regardless of whether they're focused on email, e-commerce, web development, doesn't really matter whether it's analytics, whatever they're focused on. I feel like most agencies are trying to move more upmarket because they feel like the bottom end of the market is going to be covered by two things. It's going to be covered by more self-service internal work and AI. If you look at the lowest end of the market, it feels like AI can cover most of those basic use cases, both basic setup, basic hygiene factors. It feels like a lot of the basic stuff can be managed by AI, or at least AI prompted. Whereas it feels like the larger brands that are now all of a sudden starting to have many digital touch points, both transactional as well as communication, it feels like it's very difficult, for example, if they want to build an internal marketplace team and an internal D2C team, an internal digital marketing team, an internal paid and performance team, the sheer number of teams that you could have inside these major retail brands, it feels like you could pretty rapidly get out of hand with the amount of internal resource you need to onboard, manage, try to upskill and train, or try to find someone in the market that you have to pay a ton of money to if they're an A player. And the reality is, what I have found working inside brands is that oftentimes A players get bored really quick only working on one brand. So they're working on one brand, one project, one client, one scenario. And once they have been there a year or two, they're like, I'm looking for a new challenge, right? And so oftentimes they'll churn out of these brands. And so that's why oftentimes the A players, they either go agency side because they're then able to work on many different clients, many different projects, many different opportunities, or they go freelance as a consultant. And because again, they get to work across a bunch of different clients and they become the master of their own destiny. So I
Yeah.
find retention of experts inside brands, even just generalized marketing experts, full stop, it's really difficult to retain them because your best players get bored and they want a new challenge. They want a new opportunity. They want to move up the scale. They want to get paid more, etc. And they get pigeonholed in some of these brands in the roles that they're in. and they get a little bit stale at what they're doing. And there's only so much they can do inside these brands to expand their skill set, expand their responsibility set, etc. Is that one of the things that you're seeing very commonly in the brands that work with you? Is it's hard to hire for talent. It's hard to train the talent and onboard the talent. It's very difficult to retain that talent. So in that sense, it's easier for them to work with someone who this is their day in, day out bread and butter work. And it's easier for you to find, hire, train, and retain because your team's never going to get bored because they're never just working on a single account.
Again, I'm from agency perspective. I don't see what's going on inside of the brand, but I can confirm that many brands came to us in we need to hire you as soon as possible because a key player left us or they moved to different job. And so in last 8 years, we had many clients like that who came to us because somebody left the company. And sometimes they hire us and they very transparent that they, hey, we need you for the next 6 months before we find the replacement. And other companies say, hey, we want to just try it to work with the agency and see how it works. If it doesn't work the way we want, then we will start looking for a replacement. But it's a common thing, a key person to leave the company, leave the brand, and they start looking for the agency.
Now, let's talk about the war on email because for the last couple of years, there's been an all out war on email from Apple to Google to Meta to everybody else. It feels like there's been this war on email and the war on to protect email inboxes from spam. And the amount of automatically assigned spam for me has gone through the absolute roof. And certainly from a prospecting campaign perspective, it feels like it feels like cold outbound email is pretty much dead. It feels like that the vast majority of that email is either not going to make it into the inbox, or if it does make it into the inbox, people detect it as spam and they auto delete or auto flag it as spam without even reading the email. People have become wise to the hook-based email subject lines, etc., the incendiary subject lines, which get people to open the email there. People are just really wise to email, and it feels we're going through a similar cycle with SMS and some other digital communication and marketing channels. And I think WhatsApp, I live in Mexico, where I know in the US, WhatsApp is not a big deal. Everywhere else in the world, other than the United States, WhatsApp is the single biggest communication channel, even bigger than email. It's wild how here in Mexico, almost every single business that I deal with communicates via WhatsApp.
Mhm.
They don't really do email anymore. It's almost exclusively via WhatsApp, all the way from the courier delivery, letting me know that something's going to be delivered, all the way through sending out a review message, requesting a review of their service via WhatsApp. They really don't use email very much. It's mostly WhatsApp messaging and WhatsApp marketing now. And so I'm wondering first of all, what have you seen to be the practical result of the war for the inbox, the battle for the inbox, combined with what do you think is the next great digital marketing channel, digital communication channel after email? Is it SMS? Is it WhatsApp? What do you see as the next great marketing channel?
Let me answer the last question. It depends where you are, like in the world. As you said, in Mexico, it's WhatsApp. I'm originally from Ukraine. Ukraine, Telegram. It's another competitor of WhatsApp. It's the main communication channel. Nobody in Ukraine use email, even in the corporate world. Um, it's hardly they hardly use email. Like when I talk about email marketing, nobody understands what I'm doing because it's like nobody use like emails in Ukraine. In US, honestly, it's email will be the dominant, and then SMS. So those two channels will be dominant unless something change in the culture of the country. But I personally don't see it will be anytime soon, unless it's like we're talking about maybe 50 plus years, not anything soon. In terms of the inbox war, I do you mean the like I don't understand the question. Do you mean like the privacy of the inbox or
Yes.
the filters?
Yes, and the difficulty of getting into inboxes with your emails, especially from a prospecting perspective.
Again, we are email marketing agency and not called like
Yeah.
outreach agency. Like it's two separate things. So
Yeah.
from email marketing perspective, when people opted in for
Yes.
marketing and we are sending them emails, I personally like what all inbox providers is doing. I think it's for better because as a consumer, I hate to receive those spam emails and they are filtering out a lot of like bad senders to get into my inboxes. So as a consumer, I love it a lot, but also as a professional email marketer, I also like it because it's leveling up our industry. So it's all those newbies who want to be email marketers and they don't do the proper education. They will not survive in this industry anymore. It became harder to do those, how we called in the past, blasts, because blast doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Batch and blast email doesn't really get the cut
No.
through that it used to. I know for myself, if I receive, say, roughly 3 irrelevant emails from a merchant that I've bought from either once or regularly, I will unsubscribe. And are you finding what are some of the absolute baseline key metrics that you're looking at when you're trying to assess overall email effectiveness? Is it click-through rates? Is it unsubscribe rates? Is it subscribe rates? Is it like what are some of the top 3 or 4 metrics that you're looking at to assess the health of an email account and how good of a job that brand is doing with email or alongside you guys working together? What kind of metrics are you targeting to say, look, if we see, for example, if we see a spike in unsubscribes, we probably did something wrong. We probably needed to look at what we did to cause that spike in unsubscribes. Because I see email abuse by brands it just feels rampant. It feels so common. It feels like there's very little respect for the inbox. And by not by all brands certainly, but by many brands, it feels like there's a total disrespect for the inbox, and they just send more and more emails more frequently, less targeted, more broad. It just feels, and even here in Mexico, there's a lot of brands that I buy off of that just absolutely smash my inbox multiple times a week, and the vast majority of them, after 3 irrelevant emails, I'll usually unsubscribe. And is this a common thing that you find in the industry, that the more a brand tries to leverage email as a marketing channel, and the more that they pump up the volume, the sheer volume of emails that they send, that generally speaking, the unsubscribe rate goes up in tandem with that?
There's only few brands that I have in mind in the last few years that we work with who were sending a lot of like high volume of like frequent emails. One of the brands were sending 4 emails per day, but it was successful for them. The other one is like daily emails. But in most cases, I found that brands do not send enough emails. So I personally see that the others, like the
Other
other end of
extreme.
other extreme, they don't send because like the business owners, the common business owners issue, and this is everybody's say the same thing. I don't want to spend them. I don't want to spend them. And it's like in their mind, sending 2 emails per week is like spamming their subscribers. And now we have to do a lot of education explaining, listen, we are not sending the same, we are sending, first of all, like different emails. The purpose of the email is different. Also, we are sending to different segments. So we need to educate what we are doing because in the client's head, that client, that recipient, I don't know, like maybe receive only emails from them and they can recognize it. Oh, they sent me the second email in a row this week. Honestly, the adult receives 150 emails per day at least here in US. So let's not have a big ego that they remember when was the last time we sent them the email. We as a professionals, we can recognize those patterns, but regular consumer who doesn't work in the digital marketing space, I don't think they can remember when was the last time they received email from X or Z brand.
Yeah, makes complete sense. I know my inbox gets smashed. Yeah, totally understand. And it is hard for even for me to remember, okay, this person sent me 3 emails this week or 4 emails this week. But eventually, if they overdo it, then it becomes pretty obvious who's overdoing it. If I'm receiving an email a day from a brand, then I'm most likely going to be unsubscribing from them for sure. So yeah, it's an
Yeah, so
interesting.
if the brand send you the email, not relevant email, you they need to send you a lot of those unrelevant email for you to even remember that they are sending unrelevant emails to you.
Yes, yes,
So,
that's true.
but it's need to be like a lot of the emails. So it's not even 3 emails, I think, unless that brand is on top of your head, like you either recently subscribed or you just purchased something from them and maybe they send you the third email in the 2 days. That kind of brand might be on top of your head, but
Yeah,
like in a month or two, I don't think you will remember that. But
no,
if they are sending something, let's say even 50% relevant to you, maybe you scroll but not interested and you move on. And I personally subscribe to a bunch of brands where it's my reminder.
yeah,
I need to buy a new chair.
yeah,
It's like it's between $500 to $2,000 purchase.
yes,
Um, it's not impulsive purchase for me, and I'm subscribed to a bunch of brands, and sometimes it's like they are irrelevant information, but I'm still subscribed to them. It's kind of my reminder or to do list. Maybe
yeah,
it's not a good way to do it, but I still, and with the right offer, with the right wording, with the right timing, I will buy.
yes,
Once I checked the digital marketer, the website digital marketer, I purchased the ticket to their event, Traffic and Conversion, actually in San Diego, where you're from. So I checked, I received close to 100 plus emails before I made the purchase of their ticket.
wow,
Yeah.
wow. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I do the same thing. I use email as a bit of a reminder system. And
Well,
for example, I subscribed, this wasn't to an e-commerce business, but I subscribed to an industry newsletter for it's an industry association in the B2B world,
mhm,
and they run a conference every 2 years, right?
mhm,
Now, I wanted to get on their list so that when they made because they only do a conference every 2 years, and I wanted to be a speaker at their conference, and I missed their last one. So I was like, I'm not going to miss the call for speakers. So I'm going to say stay subscribed to their mailing list, not because I want to read every email that they send me, but when they send an email call for speakers,
yeah.
then I'm going to receive that. Interestingly, I have received a year and a half worth of emails from them, and I
Yeah.
literally just received the email with the dates for their newest conference, and in that email was the call for speakers. So it's interesting that a lot of us, I think, use email as a bit of a reminder system. And all like for example, I'm subscribed to the Costco email list here in Mexico because we have a Costco here in Puebla. And occasionally they will run very good specials. It's not that often because they usually have pretty good prices anyway, but occasionally they will run insane specials on something that I may or may not be interested in depending on the price point of the product. And so I'll continue to stay on their email list for that occasion when, okay, they're running a super special on something that I would only ever buy if it's on a, I don't need it. I'm not desperate for it, but I'm going to wait for it to go on a super special. And then I'll be like, okay, now it's worth it for me to go ahead and buy that thing. And so I think it's really interesting that you talk about email almost as a reminder service that merchant still exists, that they sell something you're interested in, but maybe you're just waiting for the perfect opportunity or the relevant opportunity to make the purchase, right?
Yeah. And with what we just said with those two examples, it's very important to, in your email, to have some kind of either entertaining content, educational content. So it's not only about promotion, because if you're sending only promotion, people like easier for them to unsubscribe because I don't need this item, so I'll unsubscribe. But if you do the industry news, company updates, something funny, hold on, something company called Jeans, New York Jeans or New York Strategy Jeans, and their emails always funny. So I'm subscribed to them. It's like they have funny memes. Do I need those jeans? Probably not. I buy them? Probably not. But I'm still subscribed for the fun, for the
For the
entertainment.
entertainment factor.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like always add something valuable to the customer. So there's a reason for them to stay subscribed.
Wow, what interesting ideas. I love that. I love that. Now, we've been talking for almost an hour now as we do come down to the end of our time together. What is the if you were to engage with a new brand today, and I really want this to be targeted heavily at my audience here. If you were to give one, two, three top tips for brands that are either doing things in-house today or they're looking at outsourcing to an agency from an email marketing perspective, what are the one, two, three things that you're finding are working super well from an email perspective in 2025?
I don't think there's anything innovative I will tell about 2025 versus 20. Like just follow the best practice of what we spoke email 101. Make sure your list is clean. So list hygiene is must have. Like in the past, it was nice to have maybe. No, it's right now, if you don't do cleaning, you don't have proper segmentation and excluding those people, if you don't have a sunset flow, you just you dying slowly. Your list will be dying slowly. It's not like immediate decline in deliverability you will see, but you will be bleeding slowly and you would not see it. So this is number one. It's not innovative. It's not something 2025, but you must have it now. So next thing, the audit automations you have, the fundamental, the life cycle of the customer, welcome, abandonment, browser, post-purchase win back, those you need to evaluate them. And if you have the right number of emails and see how they work for you, maybe the last time you reviewed them 2 years ago, evaluate them again and improve that. So those kind of those two big things. And number three, with the AI and with this all new technology which is available, try play with the new tools. For example, in our agency, we don't write any subject lines anymore. We use technology which split test the subject lines 24/7 for all our brands. So we don't write subject lines and we don't write the preview text. That system is like constantly like learning and improving itself. Like we do it maybe once a month, once a quarter. We go to the system to review how it performs, what it learned, and from that we can even improve the body of the email based on those subject lines. So leverage AI. And in also in like for list cleaning, there's tools for list cleaning which use AI. So there's like more and more tools which are available with AI capabilities for email marketing.
Makes complete sense, and that is very sensible, very reasonable, this is email marketing 101. And why wouldn't you do these things? Because they're basic, they're pretty easy for you to do. It's not like this is pie in the sky stuff. This is very practical things that brands should be doing at least once a quarter, minimum once a year, and they should be reviewing the entire performance of email at a holistic level as often as they possibly can. Now, as we do come down to the end of our time together, this is where I get to flip the script. I get to hand the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. It could be personal or professional. So, Andriy Bochuk from Flowium, what is your question for me today?
What is your stand on the economy and the tariffs right now in the world? I mean, not in US. Like, where do you see e-commerce heading with the new tariffs?
Look, I've been in this industry for 25 years, and
Hmm.
I have heard the death of this industry being touted many times, from, oh my God, COVID's going to kill us, to, oh my God, COVID's the best thing that ever happened to our industry, to the GFC, oh my God, nobody's going to spend any more money. E-commerce is dead. Businesses are all dead. All the way to I've been through, I think, 4 major recessions in my career in different countries, from the United States to New Zealand to Mexico and everything in between. Oh my God, the end of ZERP, high interest rates, going to kill everything. Nobody's going to buy houses anymore. Nobody's going to spend money anymore. The reality is that very rarely do any major market disruptions or market upsets or whatever, very rarely do they turn out how you think they're going to turn out or how you're told they're going to turn out. It almost never plays out the way you think it's going to. And
Yeah.
I find that investing has taught me a lot of lessons. Jumping in and out of the market rarely works. And
Yeah.
if you go on a long enough time horizon, the public markets are always up and to the right. So the reality is jumping in and out of the market just costs you a whole bunch of transactional fees. And the reality is if you miss one major up leg, you can miss the vast majority of your returns. And so
Mhm.
I am always 100% invested 100% of the time in the public markets. I don't trade, I invest. And
Mhm.
so I'm always 100% invested because I'm crap at picking timing. And the reality is like 98% of investors are crap at picking
Yeah,
timing for
indeed.
anything. And so I find that whenever a major market upset comes along, like the tariffs and things dropped 20% or whatever it was within the span of a week, I find those and I look at those always purely as buying opportunities. I
Mhm.
never ever see them as, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. And the reality is, if the world really does come to an end, then I'm going to have bigger problems than my business or my investments. Or if something really bad happens, like a global thermonuclear war, there's not going to be anything I'm going to be able to do about it anyway. So why would I stress about those things when A, I've got zero control over them, B, they never turn out like you think they're going to turn out, and C, if it really does happen, then we're probably all dead anyway. So
Mhm.
yeah, I almost think these things, I always try to find the silver lining. I always try to find the opportunity. I always try to find the positive spin on things. I wasn't always this way. This mental shift really only happened as I got older and as I experienced many more challenges in my life. And when I look back on them, nothing, literally not one single thing has turned out as bad as I could have imagined, right? And in
Mhm.
fact, in most instances, things turned out much better than I could have imagined. And so I think for me personally, I try to always find that silver lining. I always try to find the positive element in something. Now, people dying, obviously, there's nothing positive in people dying. So I'm not an advocate of that. But I think that oftentimes things, global situations, they're blown up and blown out of proportion by 1,000x by the media because they want clicks, they want views, they want rage bait, click bait. What I've learned is that the global media is 99% bullshit. And
Mhm.
so I don't pay attention to hardly any mainstream media at all. I pay attention to alternative media mostly. And so therefore I don't get too stressed out. I don't get too stressed out ever because things just don't turn out like you think they're going to turn out, and oftentimes they turn out better. So I'd rather hope for the best, plan for the worst, but hope for the best. And then mentally and emotionally, I always try to deal with the worst case scenario mentally and emotionally. Anything that happens better than that is like gravy. It
Yeah.
feels like a win. And I just try to always think, okay, what would I do in a worst case scenario? What would I do? And if I can deal with that mentally, then anything else is a hell of a lot easier and hell of a lot less stressful. That's a pragmatic approach I've developed in my own life, and it puts me in a much more peaceful state most of the time. Instead of going from one tragedy to the next and focusing on the next tragedy, I find that's just a massive energy suck that
Mhm.
I can't do anything about. I literally can't do anything about it. So why focus on it?
Okay. Thank you, Jason, for sharing.
My pleasure. Now, listen, if people want to get a hold of you, I'll drop a link to your LinkedIn profile and to the Flowium website into the show notes. But other than that, how do you like people to reach out and get a hold of you if they want to talk all things digital marketing, but specifically email marketing related?
It's my first name and Andriy at flowium.com. This is the best and fastest way to reach me through email. Yes, I'm active on LinkedIn, but I'm behind with my DMs on LinkedIn. But the fastest way is through email. So my
That
first
makes
name at
sense.
Flowium.
Email marketing agency, reach out to you
Yeah,
via email.
indeed,
Surprise.
indeed.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for all of your advice and wisdom that you shared with my audience. I can't wait to speak to you again soon. If you'd like to get mentored by Jason for free, head over to greenwoodconsulting.net, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click Get Mentored by Jason.